Hello, my name is Nicole Nakayama, and I am discussing invasive biology theory as it is applied to metastasized tumors in order to create a comparison between organisms and improve possible cancer treatments. Cancer treatments have not changed for the past 3 decades, with little improvement on patient outcomes. More knowledge and resources provided to doctors could improve care and long-term results in their patients, while building on current practices being taught. By stepping back and putting a new lens over metastasized cancer, establishing new treatments could prove to be more effective and safe than the current standards. Metastasized cancer is the most threatening type of cancer that can present in the human body. Cancer, propelled by natural selection, results from genetic diversity and selection pressures. This makes it difficult to treat, seeing that cancer is both too similar to the host cells and too different from other organisms' cancers to treat uniformly. The metastasis of cancer represents long-distance travel of a malignant cell from the primary tumor to a secondary location. The cancer cells then compete with the original cells for resources in order to survive. Metastasized cancer, typically viewed through evolution, gives new outlooks when seen through invasive species ecology. Invasive species ecology is the study of non-natural species in an ecosystem, their adaptations, and eventual eradication from the environment. The example here is bull thistle, a weed that takes over many environments and isn't edible to most livestock, causing it to multiply in similar ways to cancer cells. By seeing cancer through an invasive species lens, it is possible to obtain new conclusions and novel ways to treat the disease. This conclusion, reached through the compiling of articles previously written by ecologists and oncologists, solidifies the comparison between invasive species and metastasized tumors prior to the expansion on possible treatments. The article separated in two distinct parts: the comparison between invasive species and metastasized cancer, and the potential for new treatments. There is minimal information on clinical trials occurring using these new treatment methods, which strengthens that new methods should be used to treat metastasized cancer patients. Comparisons were drawn between the invasion metastasis cascade of cancer cells and the stages of invasion for an invasive species, the organism's ecosystems, and typical ways of eradication. The invasion metastasis cascade contains 7 steps, some of which correlate with the stages of invasion. The first 3 steps of the invasion metastasis cascade are local invasion, intravasion into blood vessels, and transportation throughout the body, similar to the first stage in invasive species invasion, transportation. Once the cancer cells arrive at a distant organ site, they extravasate into the tissue, comparable to colonization for invasive species. The challenge of survival arises, with cancer cells forming micrometastases and invasive species establishing themselves in the ecosystem. The final step for both organisms are reinitiating proliferation to further spread over the ecosystem. Possible treatments of these invasive organisms are seen through the current methods of invasive species eradication that can be applied to tumors in innovative ways. By changing the ecosystem of invasive organisms, new ways to treat cancer can be obtained. For example, targeting specific pathways and signaling deficits instead of typical radiation like what is shown in this image, thus leading to new ideas on how to treat metastasized cancer and new goals of what treatment should aim for. If the emphasis shifts away from finding one definitive cure for cancer, it becomes possible for researchers and physicians to focus instead on preventative care and maintenance of pre-existent malignant tumors. The treatments need to begin to look at cancer through both an evolutionary and ecological view, finding attributes of cells that are uniquely expressed in cancer that are critical to proliferation and metastasis. By doing this, the treatments would either stop the cell from growing past the capacity of its ecosystem, or stop the cells from taking root in other organs, decreasing the overall survival of the cancer cells.